Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we're going to be talking about a different approach, or say it differently. We're here to talk about how to shift out of the victim triangle. I've been really working with this concept for a long time. And literally a few weeks ago, I was in the shower after the gym and after a workout, and I literally got shown by my guide, by my intuition, a beautiful visual that I'm so excited to share with everybody about how to shift out of the victim triangle. So thank you, everybody, for being here live, and thank you for showing up. And I know a lot of people are going to be listening to the recording. So what I want to share with especially newer people to my work is a big part of the work I do, obviously, is self-development, self-healing, getting to know ourselves. And in order to enter that world, we need vulnerability. So we have as a rule here that whatever comes here stays here, just like Vegas. So if Sharon shares something and Nicole gets really excited by it and she wants to go home and tell somebody, she'll go home and tell that person that somebody in a workshop XYZ without using a name. Cool, we're all good with that? We're good? Cool. The second thing when it comes to these workshops is, as much as you can, respect something called the law of one. There's a lot of people who signed up for this workshop, which really excites me. And law of one means that whatever Natasha's going through, Haley can relate to. So if you keep your ears open and throw the judgments and the thoughts out the door, you will hear yourself in Natasha's share. Got it? Because what we do is we put up walls so we don't have to hear what the other person's saying as a defense mechanism. I'll get to that. And then we can't learn from each other. But what I find actually helps people the most is when they're willing to hear another person's story and possibly witness themselves in that. So, is that cool? We're good? Awesome. Okay. Again, thank you for being here. Let's drop into like a really short meditation because we're going to do possibly a lot more later on. And today's class is really packed with lots of information. So if we can be as present as we can, be as open as we can, we'll get as much out of it. And to be honest, this is the first time I'm actually teaching this workshop. I teach a lot. And usually I can just have it come out like a stream of consciousness, which it will today as well. But I have like 5 pages of stuff, right? So if I glance at my notes, it's just because this is not so much a newer concept for me to teach, but teaching in this format is newer for me. So I've taught this in my Transformation 101 class a bit. I've taught this in live workshops a bit, but because it's a newer one for me to teach, I might glance at my notes a bit. It's nothing against you. So let's just drop into a mini meditation and get going here. So go ahead and close your eyes. As the windows of your eyes close, just let your hips and thighs settle into the chair. Take a long breath in and a soft breath out. Take a deep breath in and a fluid breath out. Just breathe. Together, let's exhale together. And then inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for a sec. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep a cycle of breath going. That's slow and deep, long and easy, fluid and relaxed. Your breaths might be shorter to 3 or longer to 7. It doesn't really matter. If you wish, place one of your hands on your belly button and just notice the breath as it enters easily. And notice the breath as it exhales fully. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Take an inhale. And just fall into an exhale. Beautiful. Really nice work. Amazing. Whenever you're ready, become aware of the physical body that you're beautifully seated in. Wiggle your fingers, blink your eyes, and gently open your eyes, coming back into the brighter room. Guys. I would normally take you into longer meditation, but I'm way too excited to teach, so we're just going to get started. So, especially if you're newer to my workshops, this workshop specifically, if there are questions, because I'm going to be giving you a ton of information, if there are questions that come up as I teach, feel free to type them in. I might not grab it right away. Some of the activities and processes that I've planned are a bit interactive. So if I say, hey, let's do this activity, type in what you get. What happens when you type in is not only do you share with other people, where they might be blocked, they're like, oh yeah, I have that too. What you also do is you bring awareness to yourself of something in you, and that in itself can be so massive. So, don't be afraid to share when I say, hey, share what came up, because it can be really helpful. Okay, so let's get going. I'm so excited. Okay, so there's something called the victim triangle, and you may have seen my podcast on it, but I'll try to make it really short, and we're going to talk a lot about it today. What the victim triangle is it's three corners. And it was, if you look at the research behind or studies behind it, it was documented in the 70s or 80s by psychologists. And I'm not going to go into history because you can read about that. But it's three corners to a triangle. One corner holds the victim. The other corner holds the bully. And the other corner holds the hero. What does that mean? That means in a lot of areas of your life, you just have to start thinking about it. You're either playing the victim or the bully or the hero. But let's first think about it in application to ourselves. Let's just say I hopped on the scale and I weighed 10 pounds more than I like to weigh. Then I go, oh my God, I weigh XYZ. Faster than I can snap my finger, I'm a victim to what the number is. And then before I even take the next breath, I'm beating myself up in my head for that extra dessert I had. Then before I take the next breath, I'm like, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. And only 3 seconds have passed, not even. So I went from victim to the weight of 10 pounds, to the victimizer of bullying myself for the ice cream, to the hero of I'm going to go to the gym. And did you see how quickly that happened? And I didn't even snap my finger. And we all do that to ourselves all day, every day, without realizing it. So that's an internal game that happens. And I'll get into the conversation of the ego in a second. That's an internal conversation. Oh, I don't have enough money in the bank account. What's wrong with you? You did something wrong. You should have kept that job. Oh, I'll go get a new job. And do you see how quickly that happened? Whenever you're in the victim triangle, the ego is running the show. And I'll get into that more in a second. But when I use the word victim, you can interchange that word with powerless. So if you don't like the word victim, a lot of people don't. I respect that. If the word powerless feels better, use that. Now, the emotion of powerlessness is very similar to the emotion, like if you look at something called the emotional scale, the reason powerlessness and victim gets so heavy and it's kind of a law of the planet runs on it is because there's a couple emotions that kind of all lump together. Victim, powerless, depression, anxiety, those emotions, grief and guilt, they all kind of like melt together. And what we commonly see is, oh, I'm a victim because I'm powerless because I couldn't afford XYZ for my kid. Then I feel guilty that I can't afford XYZ for my kid. And it's actually a very similar emotion. Then we victimize ourselves. We did something wrong. And then we're the hero because I'm going to go find the money. And again, it happened faster than I snapped my finger. So this first part of the workshop is bringing awareness to it. How we do it in our heads all day, every day. And once you're in the triangle, there's actually not a way out. And that's what I'm so excited to share with you guys. So excited, you have no idea. Once you're in it, you're in it. And if you think about it just for a few minutes, the majority of the legal system, the medical system, relationships, they're all based on the victim triangle. I was thinking about this the other day because, as most of you know, I worked as a doctor for years. I would sit as a doctor and I'd hear patient story. And this is back when you spent longer than 5 minutes with the doctor. And I won't tell you how old I am, but this is a while ago, when I had a family practice and the patients would come in and they would tell me their problems. And I would create in my mind, oh, this poor person, their boss is being mean to them. And I'm going to be the hero because I'm going to give them an antidepressant. So the victim is the patient. The bully is the boss or the husband or whatever. And I'm the hero because I'm going to help them. And if you think about any relationship you're in right now, as soon as you enter the victim triangle, you're going to change hats in 1 second. Think of your relationship with your kids. I do it all the time with my son. So sometimes I'm the victim to him he's going to Europe this summer on my tab. So I'm the victim. I'm the victim to him wanting to go to Europe. Not really, but you know what I mean? Then I can also be the hero in 1 second, right? So my husband's mean to me, then I become the victim bully to him. So I just want you to think about it for a sec. So this is a more of an interactive question. Where in your life, back up before I go there, which role do you like to play the most? Put into the chat box. What role do you love to play? And I can tell you which one you're going to all type in. Which one do you just love to play? Type it in or say it out loud if you can't type in. Feel free to exactly, that's what I was looking for. We all love to play the hero, especially women. I'm going to fly in and fix this problem. And as soon as we're the hero, that means right away, you're seeing somebody as a victim. Got it? And you're going to, if you bear with me through the rest of this class, you'll see what I mean. But hero is the most common place we go, especially as women, but men do it too. Now that you've decided that you've realized, oh yeah, I do love to play the hero. Can you see in that relationship that sometimes you're the victim and sometimes you're the bully? Just think about it for a second. Can anyone think of a relationship in their life where they wear all three hats? Let me see what you guys wrote in. Andrew wrote, I think my mom loves to be the victim. Yeah. And then I want you to see that sometimes she's the victim, sometimes she's the hero, and sometimes she's the bully. And I want you all to see, can you see y'all do that to some degree? Can you see relationships? You do see it? Okay, good. Y'all see it. I just want to make sure. So I want you to become aware that you're not one or the other. You can pop from one to another in less than a second. And like I said, the majority of the world is based on it. And we'll get into why in just a second. And what I want you to understand is it's a mental construct. It is just a way of thinking because there's a different way to think or else you would not be here. Bernard wrote, in his family of origin is such a typical example of everyone playing a role. Exactly. If you look at your younger years, the mom flies in as the hero, the dad's the bully, the kid's the victim. That's kind of classic triad, but it can change, right? My husband was the hero when it would come to basketball. I was the victimizer because I was like, you should be studying. My son was the victim. See how it works? Change hat in 1 second. So now that you can see you're doing it, there's a quote. I'm going to use a lot of quotes from A Course in Miracles. I was going to type them in. And if you want me to type some of them in, let me know. This one's a quote from A Course in Miracles. What you think you are is a belief to be undone. So if you think you're a hero or a victim, it's a belief that needs to be undone. The victim triangle that you just saw a minute ago, it is the home of what we're going to call the ego. And I'm going to define the ego for this workshop. The ego in the work I do is called the separated self. And most of you know, I have a bit of a spiritual stance to me, ha, ha, ha. So a lot of the work I teach is very spiritual. And the work I teach, you are the divine I am. You are infinite love, infinite consciousness, infinite spirit, infinite love. We're going to spend a lot of time there in a minute here. But here you are born with infinite power, infinite consciousness. And anything that's separate from that is the ego. The ego is simply the separated self. And just think of that when I use the word ego today. And please don't think the ego is bad. It's just a mental construct. Okay. And now we're going to get into why this has all happened. So let's dive into the powerless archetype, why it's here, and how we can shift it. So we're going to just talk, before I get into childhood in a second, we're going to talk a bit about how society is set up. Have you ever turn on that thing called a television and you turn on the news? It's all based on be scared. Watch out, this is going to happen to you. Be careful if you go to the mall, this might happen. Be careful if you go to the States. I know there's a lot of Americans on here. They have guns there. Be careful if you don't live in that community. It's all fear-based, and we can all relate to that, right? We're all taught that that world is scary out there, and I have to be safe in here. So it's this constant construct of thinking. And then we're also taught that something can actually hurt us. Oh no, that person's going to hurt you. Now, again, I jokingly said I work in the spiritual realm. This next quote is from A Course in Miracles, and it's actually how A Course in Miracles starts. And I might type it into the chat box. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God. And I'm going to type this into the chat box because we're going to dissect it. Nothing real can be threatened. And I might have some spelling mistakes because I'm typing fast. Nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God. Okay. And when I use the word God, you can change it to spirit, source, universe. I'm not attached. So if somebody says to me, I have to be careful because somebody could break into my home. Okay, somebody could break into my home. In my office, and I shared this in the transformation class this morning. I'm sitting in my office. It's about 10 by 10. There's only two real things here. The spirit that's inside of me, the divine I am, this consciousness, this body, it's as real as, it's as real as this water glass. It can be broken in a second. Can walk across the street, get hit by a car. It ain't real. This is just a meat suit. There's only two real things in my office. The essence of who I am and the essence of the plant. That's a fake plant. The essence of the real plant on my right and the essence of the divine I am. So nothing real. The only thing that's real is the spirit in me, the spirit in the plant. That can't be threatened. Nothing unreal, this body, whatever. Therein lies the peace of God. So just in that thinking, you can see it's going to take some deep mental reprogramming. And when I show you the graphics that they showed me, I'm shifting the victim triangle a little bit here. It really takes a lot of deep programming to realize nothing can hurt you. So somebody breaks into your house, so somebody guns to a head, so somebody kills me, so I'm going to go at some point. When I signed a contract to come onto the planet, I signed a contract that I wasn't going to stay here forever. So the sooner we can accept that, the sooner freedom lies. Because I'm not living in fear all the time. Because fear and victim energy are identical vibrations. Are you guys still with me? I want to make sure I haven't lost you guys. So it's a very deep topic. We're still good. You're no one's okay, good. We're all still okay, good. Because I'm going super deep very quickly. So I want to make sure you're still with me. Okay. So take a breath for a second. We have been trained in fear to perceive that we're constantly being attacked. And if we're not being afraid of being attacked physically, like, okay, somebody's not going to come into my house and put a gun to my head. I'm constantly afraid of what that person thinks about me. Oh my God, I can't put that on social media because what are they going to think about me? How many of us do that? You know, like, oh my God, what do they think about me? Oh my God, right? So if I'm not afraid for my physical well-being, I have this perception that somebody can hurt me by their thoughts or their emotions. Can somebody hurt me by what they say? No. I got called racist words my entire childhood. Was I hurt? No. Am I still alive? Yes. But we have a mental construct that something hurt us. And until we start to break out of the idea that we're hurt, we'll always stay in the victim triangle. Got it? We're good? Okay, good. I'm assuming we're good. So why does this occur? Why do we even have the powerless archetype to begin with? And I'll get into that spiritually in a minute. If you think of childhood, I saw some kids on the call when we started some little windows with kids with you guys. So cute. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say this. In the recording, I'm the only one being recorded. You guys aren't in the recording. I do that for your anonymity. So don't worry, your faces aren't on here, unless you really want to be on it here. But I do that for your anonymity because there's about 100 people who signed up for this workshop. So people you don't know will be watching this. So just so y'all know, I forgot to say that. So why do we have the powerless archetype to begin with? We come in as a little baby, usually about 6 to 8 pounds. And just think about it. You're a baby. You come on the planet, can't walk, can't talk, can't feed yourself, can't drive, can't vote. I couldn't even drive and vote when I was 12, 13. Like, Jesus Christ. I spent 19 years feeling powerless. I couldn't vote. Got it? Didn't have my own bank account till I was 20. How powerless can you be? So I have 20 years plus of a powerless neural pathway. It's normal. The other reason we have powerlessness as an archetype is because it's not just because we're little and kids, it's also because we had trauma when we were kids. Dad yelled at me and I didn't think I did anything wrong. Dad told me to come home at 5 o'clock. I was home at 5:01 and Dad yelled at me. I felt powerless. So we have traumas as children. I'm not diminishing. By that example is not about diminishing anyone's power, of making that example small. Any interpretation as a child that you are powerless, any trauma is perceived in the mind as powerless. Another reason that we have the powerless archetype is because in our DNA, men and women both, but especially women, have a very deep archetype of powerlessness, right? Everyone, I mean, how I was raised was, you're a girl, shit, better be careful. You're going to be hurt. And that's in the DNA from where I come from. Because anybody who's a woman, in the culture I come from in India, every 5 minutes, a woman is sexually abused. Every 5 minutes. It's fucking crazy. So what do you think my parents were afraid of my entire life? That someone was going to take advantage of me, right? So it's in my archetype, it's in my DNA. It can be past life, it can be childhood traumas, it can be familial traumas. So the powerless archetype, it just is. And the reason we have it spiritually is because if you study a bit of Course in Miracles, we come in as powerless entities to regain our power. And that sounds completely crazy, but y'all signed up to be here. We all signed up to be here. Bad contract, I'm joking. But we all signed up to feel powerless for one reason, to find our power. And that's annoying to hear. So annoying. But it's a mental construct that needs healing. It's a mental construct that needs shifting. And it takes work because the ego fires all day, every day. It's in our nervous system. It's our fight, flight, freeze. In my transformation container this morning, we did this meditation to take us into safety and ease. And I was shocked at how well it went. They told me to teach it because we're all wired in fear. But to be unwired in safety is really weird because we're wired in fight or flight. So the ego is just going to run the show. So it takes deep reprogramming of the mind to shift this. So let's keep going. So how do you change this? Now that's the preamble. How do you change this? Number one, you have to decide. You have to decide you are done with this. And that's the beginning of it. Sorry for yelling. But you have to decide that you are done with that. And I cannot make that decision for you. Okay? You have to decide that today, April 3rd at 6 p.m., I'm done with feeling powerless and I'm going to jump back to powerless because that's the ego, but I am willing every day to think differently. And that willingness is everything. But it has to be a firm, concrete decision that you are willing to think differently. Let's jump into a mini meditation and I'll come back here because I'm way too excited. Go ahead and close your eyes. With your eyes closed, just fall into your belly breathing. Take an exhale. Let's go into those breaths. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep that slow flow breath. Easy and calm. Fluid and relaxed. Soft and easy. Just breathe. Imagine now that we are sitting out on the grass. And it's a beautiful, beautiful evening night. And it's a summer day, looking up at the dark sky, and there's some gorgeous stars. As I lie on the ground, I look up at the stars, and the stars feel like they're a million miles away. And I breathe. I feel the ecstasy and the ease and the softness of this moment. Now on the next breath, I want you to imagine, sense, see, or feel that you are sitting on the star and you're observing yourself. So place part of your consciousness on the stars. Look down at yourself. And in this moment, I want you to practice being the observer or the witness to your thoughts. As you sit on the stars or go galaxy away, you might actually start to laugh at all the crazy thoughts you have as you breathe. In this moment, you are not as attached to your thoughts. In this second, you're holding more the observer. You are not your thoughts. Right now, you are the witness of them. Take a few breaths here. The more you can hold the witness consciousness, the more you can step out of the victim role. And breathe here. Take about 5 breaths, witnessing and observing all of your crazy thoughts, and just seeing here. Slow breath in, long breath out. Deep breath in, fluid breath in. After a few more breaths, when you're ready, start to return to the room, opening your eyes, coming back. The observer, the witness, is the most important technique ever in spiritual work. So I'm curious, we only did that for like maybe 90 seconds or 2 minutes. Does anyone, please type in the chat box, what do you feel after doing just 2? I could have taken you for 20, but I want to keep it short because I'm trying to keep this whole class in an hour to an hour and a quarter. What did you notice as you did that meditation of just being the observer? What did you notice? Type it in the chat box or say it loud. What did you notice sitting on the stars, observing your thoughts? What was it like? Natasha wrote, freedom. Yeah. What else did you guys notice? Being the observer. I saw myself as a small speck. All is well. Exactly. Peaceful. I was apart from my body. Bang on, Lisa. Bang on. Being the observer, when we go into the next section of the class, is the most important part. Beautiful, Haley, sympathy. You have almost a sense of compassion for all the crazy stuff. So if I never ever see your beautiful face again, and you've spent half an hour, 40 minutes of Divi so far, if you only remember one thing, the observer is the most important technique in spiritual work that's often forgotten, but is the biggest muscle to help you in working with the victim triangle. So we talked about the victim triangle, and there's a very different way to live. And I'm going to go there next. You, my friends, are a child of God. Take that in for a sec. Close your eyes, keep your eyes open. I'm not attached. You are a child of God. And again, change the word God to love, the universe, spirit. And I'm going to actually say 4 or 5 sentences. If you want to close your eyes and take them into your body, I'm curious how it lands. That's the best way. So if you don't mind, gently close your eyes. Again, if you're driving, don't do that. Close your eyes and take these statements in. I am a child of God. I am as God created me. I am as the divine created me. I am as love created me. Love created me as itself. Spirit created me as itself. I am infinite potential. I am as God created me. I am as love created me. And take a few more breaths. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. What was it like to feel that in your body? I am as love created me. I am as the divine created me. I am a child of spirit. What is that like to feel that in your body? Just type into the chat box. What did you notice? Special. Yeah, Haley. Each of us are special. Reassuring and comforting. Powerful. Light coming home. Bang on. Bang on, Natasha. So we come into the powerless realm as a baby and a child, only to turn the corner and rewire our minds, which is all the work I teach. It was also typed in. I felt peaceful. I felt incredible lightness of my being. And when you take on this new way of thinking, which takes time and work because the mind is just geared to something different, this becomes your new definition. That's what all of, law of attraction, go write yourself a check for $1 million, go visualize it is all about. When you believe you are that, then you heal the powerless part of you, but we're going to go there right now. So now I'm going to show you the visual that they showed me. Let me make sure. I'll say one more thing. So there was somebody in the class that I wrote this out for. We come in experiencing powerless, as I said, to return to our power. And it sounds like a comic and maybe plan, but we all signed a damn contract to be on this planet Earth. So you and I both screwed I'm jokingly say screwed up until signed up to be here. This is for somebody. When I was writing this out, the guy said, pull this quote out. This again from A Course in Miracles. Remember, no one is where he or she is by accident and chance plays no part in the divine plan. So some of us have this idea that I had an accident or that was bad luck. There is no bad luck, no chance in the divine plan. Everything is orchestrated by a bigger energy. Okay, so I'm going to show you the beautiful visual that they showed me in the shower that day, and I left the shower and scribbled and wrote it down. And I may or may not allude to, make sure you guys can see this. Can you guys see that? You guys can see the purple triangle? Okay, let me talk about it. Let me explain it. Okay, so over here, over here, this victim triangle, the base of the triangle, Sarah, my assistant, did such a great job. This victim triangle, we just talked about it, victim, bully, and hero. That's what 99% of society lives in. The ego construct, the legal system, medical system, blah, 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 blah. The first step, so I drew another triangle over here, but you need to stay with me step by step. The first step is anger, and we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. That's the first step. The second step is compassion, and the third is forgiveness. And I'm going to talk about it in detail in just a minute, but that's the visual if anyone wants to screenshot or just remember it in their brain. And if you notice, the first triangle is flat, like on the plate, and the second triangle is like a vertical. So to lift up, so I'll just describe the picture they showed me in the shower. The first one is anger, and I'm going to use goddesses, and if you don't know these goddesses, don't worry. The first one is anger, which is the goddess Kali, the goddess Pele. That's like, no, I'm not a powerless, and I'll get into that in just a minute. And that's one side. And the next one is compassion, which is the goddess Durga, which is the goddess to say, choose which one you want to be. And the last one, which is forgiveness, is the goddess Kuan Yin. You need all three. And once you have all three, then they showed me a circle at the top, which we didn't put in the diagram, which is at the very top, which was a circle of enlightenment. That was goddess Lakshmi. But I'm going to go to each of these angles in a second and talk to you about how it works and again, this takes work, and you can work on this for the rest of your life. And this is what I realized. They literally showed me this a couple of weeks ago in my workshops. I was like, and most of you know, I've been teaching live workshops a lot lately, since about December, January. Recently, I started teaching live events in Vancouver. And when I actually think about it, this is actually what I've been teaching. I'm like, oh, that's insane. And Barbara, who's on the call, she is like, no, she's not the queen of anger. She's just very good at helping us with anger. So let me explain why. So let me hit stop share. If you ever study Emotional Scale by Abraham Hicks, or read the book Power versus Force by David Hawkins, we're going to spend a few minutes talking about anger. Anger, if you look at it, goes powerless, grief, guilt, victim, depression, anxiety down here. The next emotions going up, the next big jumps are rage and anger. Then you can go up to blame, disappointment, hope, optimism, and joy. There's 22 of them. I just showed you the big ones. If you think about it actually physiologically, if you've ever felt powerless and then yelled at somebody, and somebody in my transformation class shared it with us this morning that she just burst. And I didn't ask, she asked her, she's on the call. But when you burst, you actually feel better. You know, we're like, and then you burst, and then you're better until you feel it yourself out. Like you're like, oh, and they're like, I shouldn't have done that. Because what we do is we go powerless, then we get angry, and then the most common thing women do is they go guilt, which takes them right back down. If that makes sense to you. So does that make sense, Haley? Powerless, anger, felt better, and then, oh, I shouldn't have done that. See how that happened? So what I want y'all to understand is anger is the first triangle up. And the reason anger is the first triangle up is because there's only one way to powerless. And that's anger or rage. Now we're going to talk about why it's so hard. How many, and there's a lot of women on the call, though men are also here. But how many women in the call, and please type in the chat box, if 100 is high and 0 is low, from 0 to 100, how comfortable are you with anger? Just type it in the chat box. And if you're high, how about your friends? How comfortable is a woman with anger? 0 is low, under 100 is high. And men too. Yeah, you nailed it, Nicole. Bang on. Nicole is smart. Sharon, bang on. 25 and 10. You guys are bang on. And I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek. I'm teaching a class soon called Women Healing Women. It's getting rolled out right now. Tina is amazing. She's very comfortable with it. So the average, though, is exactly what Haley said, 6, 10, 25. Those are more regular. Odd folks like Tina and Lindsay, who I've known for a while, I'm teaching you guys, are more comfortable with it. Okay? But anger is something that a lot of women and men are scared of. We have wars on the planet. You know, dad was mad all the time. So we have this constant in our head that anger is scary. And if anyone's come to any of my live workshops, I don't love doing anger releasing, but we actually see a physiological difference in a person when they release anger. It's like they were bound up in powerlessness, and then they release anger. There's this. There's a workshop I taught in Kelowna, and there's a gentleman there. A really nice guy in his 30s, attractive, married, kids. And he was in his head, completely normal. And at a certain point in the workshop, one of my assistants came, and he was a man, and he helped him through anger. He didn't know, the client didn't know I was going to do this. My guides told me to do it. So we assisted this man in moving his anger, and he doesn't usually move his anger. That was the workshop started at 10. He was in his head until about 2 o'clock or so. This happened, 2 or 3 o'clock. We did an anger releasing. And then from 3 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night, he was the most calm person I've seen in my entire life. He actually looked at me and said, my mind's never been this quiet. Okay. The emotion of powerlessness. And so what people don't realize is emotions and thoughts go hand in hand. So if I get myself into fear, I can get myself into 1,000 thoughts of fear. Oh my God, the gas prices went up. Oh my God, such and such is gonna happen. Oh my, can anyone relate to that? As soon as I get myself into fear, I can think 1,000 thoughts about fear. So if we're not comfortable with anger, we will stay powerless. And what most women do, women and men do, they go powerless, then they go to anger, and then they go right back to powerless. It's like the most common cycle we see. So again, if you only remember one thing from today, and I never see your beautiful face again, having a relationship with anger that's on a regular basis is one of the most therapeutic things you can do. Whether it be boxing regularly, yelling in your car, screaming. And you're going to see why it's important when I get into the other 2 edges of the triangle. But having a relationship with anger is one thing that if we don't start to develop, will keep us flopped in powerlessness. Now I want you to think about something. Men typically, classically, because they have testosterone, are pretty good with anger. Men typically. Women are great with forgiveness, typically, and compassion. We're like, yeah. So think about the triangle from 1D flat on the piece of paper to 3D. So remember, powerless victims on the ground. Men get angry, but they suck at forgiveness and compassion. And I'm talking like generally. I'm not talking you guys, the men. I'm just stereotypically. They're great at anger, but they suck at forgiveness and compassion. So what happens? They get angry and then they go right back into powerless victim. See how it happens? Women, we're the forgiveness and compassion queens. We don't go to compassion, but we don't have anger, then we go right back down. But when you hold all three, and when I get to teaching compassion and forgiveness, you'll understand in just a few minutes. But the first line from powerlessness is anger, and just giving yourself permission and understanding that you really have to realize that deeply unconsciously as women and men, we have been taught that anger is scary. And that's why it is hard. In fact, a lot of times at the workshops that I teach, we'll be doing some anger releasing. And it will also often trigger anxiety in people because they're so scared of it. I might be partnering with this woman to help me at some workshops, and she's lovely. She's she's an amazing woman at martial arts. I think she's got her black belt in karate. I don't remember which sport it's in, but she'll blow your mind when you meet her. Like, she's inside out martial arts queen. And she was sharing with me the other day that she'll get people in, I'm trying to remember what she called it. In a wrestling move, when you get them on the ground and you're like straddling them, there's a word for it. And the person on the ground has to get themselves out of it. And she mostly teaches women. And when she gets them on top of it, she said it's fascinating to watch women. A lot of them will just go into freeze mode. Even though prior to putting them in that grip, she's taught them techniques to get out, but they can't get themselves out of it because their unconsciousness is trained in freeze. Got it? So having a physiological ability to move it is super important. And her and I might be partnering up so that she can teach y'all how to move it. Because if we don't move it here in this beautiful friggin' bodies of ours, these meat suits of ours, we can't move it from just our mind. We have to move it from the energy that says we're powerless, so that we can be free of it, so we can hold the other two edges of the triangle. Andrew wrote in, I hated my mom's anger growing up. Totally got it. I felt like it wasn't healthy for me to bring around. I get it. And I had a better relationship with my dad because he wasn't angry. So that was what I thought. Totally normal. Marnie wrote in, I think you need an anger class. Exactly, Marnie. Oh, we are doing an anger class. It's coming. Trust me, it's coming. And that's funny, Marnie, that you said that. I think you typed it right when I was talking about that woman. She's very psychic. So I might be partnering with this woman, amazing woman named Emma, who that's what she does. But it's not going to be just anger. We're going to do the other edges too, don't worry. But until we move it in a safe way in our bodies, it'll stay stuck there. Got it? And what a lot of women do is we do yoga and we go running and then we don't move it. You're talking to a woman who taught yoga for 10 years and practiced yoga for 15. All right. So and yes, with Barbara too. Yes, with Barbara too. Thanks, Andrea. So we have a whole bunch of anger queens. So it's awesome. Okay. So we understand anger, we understand our fear, blah, blah, blah. So if you come to one of my live workshops, you will see that it's super important, because the odd persons like Lindsay and Tina, who have a really good relationship with it and left to her own beingness, we typically won't do it because our unconsciousness is what Andrea said. It's scary as a child, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we saw anger, right? We now see anger. Okay. Now you're like, okay, Divi, I get anger. You bored me to death on anger. I get it. So once I move anger, then WTF, what do I do next? Now we're gonna talk about compassion. Compassion for what? I might swear, so I apologize. I'm fucking pissed off that I don't have any money in my bank account. Fucking pissed off that he raped me. I'm fucking pissed off. When we're angry, let's use an example. Let's just say I'm angry. I'll use an example. Let's just say you as a woman have been taken advantage of by a man. Let's just say. You've been raped or you've been hurt by a man, you've been victimized, whatever, by a man. And I'm using that example because a lot of women, but I can use it for men as well. But let's just say I've been hurt by a man and I go through my anger. I'm angry that you did that to me. True. What you're actually angry at is you're actually angry at yourself for feeling powerless. You're angry at yourself that you believe that you could be hurt. You're angry at yourself, XYZ. Because the anger that we think we have to somebody else is actually anger that we have to ourselves. Does that make sense to your brains? I want to make sure I still have you guys. Is that kind of making sense? Bingo. When you really understand that, you think remember this finger? I've got one finger pointing out, 3 fingers pointing back. All anger that I'm pointing out that way is actually anger I have to myself. Actually anger to what I was taught. Actually anger to how I was trained and brought up. But it's showing up as this person so I can heal it. This actually happened to me today. And I don't think this woman's on that. I don't think she's live. And she's lovely. She helped heal something in me. Someone messaged me this morning. She said, somebody tells me I should come to your workshop, and my website was down, which is actually quite funny. Somebody should come, you should come to my, I have a workshop this weekend. Someone said, somebody tells me I should come to your workshop. Do you have space? I said, yeah, I have space. And she said, I gave her the description. I said, this is how you can pay because my website's down. Da, 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 da. Central long one. She sends a long text. Humor me, ... Why should I go? And I just want to throw my phone across the room. And I was angry at her, but really I was angry at myself. Why? Because that's showing me that I'm not holding, that I have to rock. She's just my mirror. That's it. That's it. I'm like, oh, really? She's just mirroring me. This is so cool. The universe is teaching me something. This is awesome. Right? But it comes out as anger at her. And really I was angry at her. I was like, thank you, universe, for showing. And that's the second one. The second one is I have to get the move from the first one to the second one, the move from anger to compassion is the hardest jump. Why is it the hardest? Because we have to figure out, what is it I'm actually angry at me about? What is it I have to have compassion for? So I had to realize I had to have compassion for myself, that for some reason I'm putting out to the universe that I'm not as important and matter as I am. I'm like, oh my God. So that movement from anger to compassion, honestly, guys, is the hardest one. When I teach live workshops or online, is having compassion for that thought inside of myself that created the situation. That's the hardest thread to pull. But once we figure out, okay, really, I'm not angry at that person. I'm actually angry at myself. And I feel compassion for what the thought or neural pathway that's in me that created that. That's where then you're off to the races. Have I lost anybody? Is that making sense? Can you guys throw the thumbs up? Have I got you guys? Got you guys? Okay. How do we lock the line for not victim blaming? And Nicole, can I grab that question in just about 5 minutes? It's an awesome question. I'm going to grab it in just a minute. So great question. And if you would unmute yourself, I'm going to grab you in just 20 seconds. So we've got, so let's use an example. So I'm powerless, and then I get angry because that's my response. But then I realize, oh, I'm really angry at myself because of a thought that I have. Wow, okay. Then the ultimate, forgiveness. Allow me to forgive myself for even having that thought. Because I am a child of God. I am infinitely powerful. I am the divine. I just have this thought in my head that says I don't matter. And the universe is showing me that in this reflection. Wow. Let me see that, have compassion for it, and then forgive it. And the more I can repeat that new triangle, and again, the hardest part is A, lifting up anger, and then B, moving from compassion, then forgiveness is actually super easy. But the hardest part is moving from here to here. So let me just read these comments that have come in. Okay, Andrea, I'll grab you in a second. Okay, let me grab Barbara, then I'm going to grab Nicole, then I'm going to grab Andrea in that order. So Barbara writes, I get mad at my kid. Then I realize I'm mad at myself because I didn't know how to handle the situation. Then I need to forgive myself. Okay, back the truck up. Okay, so you get mad at your kid. Beautiful. Okay, then I realize I'm mad at myself because I don't know how to handle the horrible situation. That's guilting yourself out. And Barbara, I think you're here. So I'm wondering if you can unmute yourself. Where are you, Barbara? Because these are the examples that I need. Are you there, Barbara?
Yes.
Can you talk?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome. Okay, so I'm mad at my kid because they're being the kid. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you know how to do anger because I know that about you. So now let's go deeper. Remember I said that movement from anger to compassion is the hardest one.
Mm-hmm.
How is my daughter being a mirror to something in me? Go in there, Barbara, and tell me what you get. How is she showing me something about me? Tell me what you get.
So I'm pissed off because she will only eat pasta, and I'm so mad because she won't eat anything else. And I'm yell at her, and then I say, I'm actually mad at myself because I don't know what to do.
Okay, back up. Now, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, right there. That's the one where I said anger to compassion is the hardest part. So she is the mirror to me. She's saying,
Yeah.
I only want to eat pasta, I want to eat pasta, I want to eat pasta. And so I want to pull what the neural pathway is in you that's a mirror to that. Okay, that's what I'm going to pull right now. Okay, I'm going to say a bunch of things and see if this lands. Remember this? What we're doing, Barbara's great with anger. She go to anger. Now we have to move to compassion. So we have to figure out what in Barbara is a mirror to the daughter. This is the hardest part. So let's go there. I am responsible for your well-being. I have to take care of everything that you tell me to do. If you don't eat my food, I'm doing something wrong. Do any of those land?
Yes.
Okay. That's what needs the compassion, because all of those thoughts, I don't even remember what I said, are all thoughts that something's wrong with you. Oh, you carry it right here. I carry it right here, right here. Okay, right there.
Yeah.
Now, there we go, Barbara. I'm so hot right now. Your guys are so happy that we're talking. Now I need you to see that part of you that says, you've done something wrong. You're not the grade A mom. You got to fix your art. Can you see that part of you?
Yeah.
Give compassion, because that's not the divine. That's the overgiving mom. Compassion. There you go. Compassion for her. Now I want you to do the forgiveness prayer. Forgiveness, set me and everyone free. It's got nothing to do with your daughter. Your daughter's job was to bring the awareness to this neural pathway that you think you have to be mama good girl. Forgive me for ever thinking it was my responsibility. Forgive me for, there you go. Forgive me for ever thinking that I had to be the queen mom. Forgive me for ever thinking that I had to do something to look for her love. There we go. How does that feel?
I can settle into that. Oh, are you still there?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I settle into that, and yet I jump out, go, yeah, but when is she ever going to stop? When is she ever going to eat healthy? Like, and then I keep bouncing back and forth. So
right there, you
think,
go right back to the anger energy. Does that make sense?
yeah.
There's a resistance in you to go to compassion for your neural pathway.
So I just go to the compassion, I be there in the space, and I let it go.
No, not let it go. Not let it go.
Okay.
Like it's all up here. Okay.
Yeah.
So stay with me. Where were you taught that it was your responsibility to be grade A mom?
Well, it's in society. It's when I was growing up, my mom took care of me. Isn't it the job of a mom to take care of her kids?
Up to a certain point, up until they're 7, then they can move out.
Honestly,
that's what Buddhism and Hinduism say. I'm not joking. Your great grandmother's here with us, Barbara. She had back pain from this. She's showing me kyphosis like this. She's showing me a humpback.
Yeah.
And this I wouldn't say it killed her, but she's telling me it killed her. You felt that?
Yeah.
You insist. Yeah, you're in it right now. I don't know if you can feel it, but you're in it. You're in it. The hard, remember, guys, I kept trying to describe to you and teach that move from anger to compassion, which is Barbara's doing right now, is the hardest part. Because right now she is looking at her part of her daughter. Because remember, everything is mirrors. So this is the part of Barbara that I've got to do it all, that the daughter is mirroring. So, there you go, Barbara. You have to hold and have compassion for that side. This is unreal. Nothing unreal exists. Now you want to practice some forgiveness. Don't jump to forgiveness yet. Hold the compassion for this part of you, because what you do is you don't go to the compassion enough, and then you go right back to the anger because you're comfortable with that edge. Okay, and just stay here. Your daughter's in your life to teach you she's showing a picture of a shovel. She doesn't want this in her pathway. She's done with it. She doesn't want a bad back when she gets older. She doesn't want to take on that it's her responsibility for how a child feels. Right there. It's in your chest. I can feel it. Forgiveness, set me free from this. I am as God created me. Stay there, Barbara. You're doing so good. I am as God created me. I am as love created me. Barbara's not better if her kid eats dinner or not. Barbara is amazing as she is. Right there. Now she's laughing because she's laughing at the insanity of the
Yeah,
grief
ridiculous.
she's gone. Yes. And as you hold the compassion for that, that's why you're in the family of origin you are. That's why this kid is in your life, because you are here to hear your great grandmother who died with back pain in the upper back from the hump that women have had to carry. Oh, there we go. How is that feeling?
That's nice.
Chest is opening. There's nothing that needs to be done. And Barbara gave us the best example, because Barbara's fantastic at anger, but then moving to compassion. Remember I said that's the hardest triangle, because the hardest part is to go, here's my daughter not eating my food. My son did the same thing, and Barbara had the exact same neural pathway. My son did it for 18 years. He lived at home. Now the funniest thing, Barbara, hardly ever eats my food, right? Now he's in Durham. He's in Durham at UVic. All he says to me now, Mom, I can't wait to come home and eat home cooked food. I'm like, don't like, when he'll come home, he'll eat home cooked food for a day. They'll be like, can we go to Whole Foods? Can we go to Chipotle? And they like want to strangle him again, because he is just a mirror of my neural pathway that says, to be a good mother, he has to eat my food. If I'm a good person, blah, 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 blah. And as I've been healing that side, he eats at home now. But I had to forgive and hold compassion for what I was taught that's not true. Because this is the time of the woman up-leveling. This is the time of us taking off the bondage that we're a good mother or a bad mother based on what we do. How is that feeling, Barbara?
It sounds amazing.
And you're, go ahead.
Just thank you. I will continue to step into that space, and that the thing for me will be just being in that divine feminine and having compassion for myself.
Passion for your pathway that you and me and almost every woman on the planet was taught, which is pure bull F-U-C-K.
Yeah. Bullfuck. Bullfuck.
We're going to traumatize our kids whether we like it or not. We have, there you go, Barbara. There, you felt how your whole chest was softened. I can have compassion for me. And when Barbara does this more and more, she'll step out of the victim triangle, and her kid will stop behaving like that, because she'll be more like, eat the food, great. You don't, great. It's all good, because it doesn't mean anything about me anymore. That's what you're looking for. But their knee-jerk response of anger is just because you're very comfortable with it, because Barbara doesn't like powerlessness, so she's really good at going to anger, but then she gets stuck, which is very common as well.
Yeah.
That one, I think.
Thank you.
It's excited for you. Thanks, Barbara. Okay, Nicole, let's grab your question. How do we lock the line for not victim blaming? So talk to me.
Well, first I want to say that thank you, Barbara, because like the question I had was more from a therapist mind, speaking specifically of like sexual assault and clients. It was my fault. And I did as a therapist, what you were saying, I'm like, I don't know how to assimilate that, but I totally got swept up into Barbara's stuff, and like my whole body is like holding on to all of that, because the compassion piece is so hard to do. Like I can intellectually understand it, I can write it down and see it, but it's really hard to process. And it immediately made me think of like my husband, if he nitpicks at my kids, I get so angry. It's like I'm so mad because, and I know it's like this shame thing in me. Like if you're nitpicking at the kids, I'm not doing something right. Yeah, and like when Barbara was sharing, I was like, oh, I can, like my back, my neck, my guts, my chest. I was like, oh. And like I said, I can intellectually hear your words and go, yeah, yeah. And I can hear you with Barbara, and I'm like, yeah. But it's like really hard to move through that.
Now,
Yeah.
And that's actually, so I'm rolling out a class called the Woman Healing Women class. We have 2 free webinars in April, don't ask me when. And there'll be like a free version, paid version of it. So that you can go onto my website right now and register for the free version if you want, and you'll start to get some free videos on it. But what Nicole and Barbara are saying is actually why I'm getting called there. Because this is the top rising of the feminine, correct, Nicole? This is the time.
Yeah.
We're only going to uprise as a woman, we don't want to hand to our kids, and I don't have daughters, but I have a son. We don't want to hand to our kids that a woman's job is, and I did the same thing when my son was growing up. I would be the hero. My husband was the bully, and my son was the victim. Right? And I was a bad mother if he was getting mad at my son for something I perceived. And so I could totally relate to Nicole.
Yeah.
But what we have to realize is that we have how many millions of years of unconscious patterning that thinks it's our job. And what I would love you to know, and I know you know Nicole this, we are doing the biggest disservice to our children, whether it be girls or boys, because then we're raising boys that stay in patriarchy, right? Because they expect a woman to do this bullshit, right? You and I are on board with that. But anger in itself doesn't work until we act, because we know that you and I are both about the same age. I grew up with Gloria Steinem. I mean, I loved it. I burned my bra, but it didn't do anything. Right? Anger itself doesn't work until we actually heal the crap we've been taught, which is so deep in our unconscious that you and Barbara are so beautifully willing to share. We're going to get nowhere, because Nicole, our definition of who I am as a woman and as a mother has nothing to do whether my kid eats or not. Nothing to do with it behave or not, but it's what I've been taught.
Yeah.
And I have to have compassion for this side of me that believes it is. And
my daughter literally said, "Mom, am I getting a hump on my neck? Because I have actual hump." And I was like, "Oh my God, I have to fix it." I mean, I know that's not the response either, but yeah, it's got to stop. There has to be some compassion. But anyways.
And this is why, if you come to some of my live workshops, I work with the Divine Mother a lot lately. She's coming in right now. She's got her hand right here. She's right here on your chest, right up here. You're ready to keep going, Nicole?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a Divine Mother standing right now. It's actually Kali standing right in front of you. How is your relationship with anger, Nicole?
Or
it's actually Kali who walked in. There's a rage that wants to come out of you, hon. Because again, you can't go to compassion until you've got that.
Yeah.
And that's why I was looking at the Divine Mother. It was like, it was Kali who walked in. I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay. Because that's why you can't hold compassion. And I get it. Because to be honest, to every cell of your body, you're so effing tired of patriarchy. I know you are. I can see it from across the room. But you don't let yourself emote it.
Right.
And that's why Kali is here first.
Is
that making sense to your brain?
It's making sense to my brain. It's just, I don't know, like, I don't know how to be like,
yeah.
I'm like taking care. I'm the caretaker. It's hard to switch to the rage, and I've got a lot of it, I know, but I don't even know how. Like punching a punching bag, this is like, no,
doesn't work. Yeah.
There's still a block. Like I could punch, I can scream, but it's like there's something in me that's just like, don't let it out.
Yeah, I know. I can feel that. Yeah. So my guides have been showing me, because they've really been pushing me into this work, and I'm like, and I've learned over the 20 years I've been in this world to stop resisting them, because when I resist them is when I end up in trouble. And so they asked me to close my one-to-one business, and then when they didn't tell me what I was doing next. And then like, after I closed it, they said, "Oh, you're gonna be teaching Women Healing Women." I'm like, "Oh, okay, got it." And then they showed me that we're gonna have rooms where we're gonna have different forms of anger releasing.
Okay.
And when we start running those workshops, I'm going to pull you out from your home, because some don't work for some people. I'll give you a couple that might work. I'm sure you know the cat-cow, we get into cow and growl, right? That's one. But they're showing me more for you. Being pinned down and wrestling is going to work. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. Grappling. It's called grappling.
Oh yeah, I actually used to do martial arts, and I love grappling.
We need to get you in to get. Okay, there you go. You felt that, didn't you? Yeah, I just felt it move again. But we need to get this going, and tried many different techniques, because you're pissed of the role you've put yourself in. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I'm pissed. I don't know about my role, but yeah, okay.
Or
I
just
can hear
pissed. I'll
it.
just say pissed. The
I
role
can
that
hear it.
the unconscious has put in you. How's that?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The unconscious has stuck you in the victim triangle, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So now we'll go a little bit deeper. Now that I can feel you move the anger a bit more because your upper back just open more. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this goes back 9 generations minimum for you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you start to hold compassion for all the grandmothers, great grandmothers, great grandmothers? Some of them had cancer in their stomach, I'm saying, for this thought that they were only as worthy as what they did or what their kids did.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There you go. There you go. I'm going to say something as you're doing that, Nicole. I am as the divine created me. I am this powerhouse. There you go. As the divine created me. It doesn't say I am good if I'm a good mother, right?
Mm.
There. And what there you're right there. Now you can feel the compassion a bit stronger. Now the forgiveness can come in. Forgiving myself for ever taking on that thought that's wired in my unconscious. And I'm willing to release that so I can let the divine mother and her strength in. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels a little bit lighter for sure. I mean, there's still like, but I can hear that. I can feel that. Yeah.
It's not as far away anymore because
Yeah.
what it really is that they literally showed me 9 generations minimum back.
Yeah.
And when we see that we had grandmothers, great grandmothers, and so on and so on and so on, we can hold compassion for this little teeny blip of a thought.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to remind ourselves that's not how the divine mother sees us. The divine mother is now a different version's coming in saying, now a different one's coming in, Nicole, and she's standing right next to you, she's standing in gold.
Mm.
Now you've gotten Kali comfortable. She's got a sword in her arm, and I want you to perceive her standing in front of you right now.
Mm.
There you go, right there. And I want you to perceive yourself as the powerful goddess. There you go. That you know you are. How does that feel, Nicole, as you're doing that?
Feels better.
Because that's about letting. We have to let in. So we did Kali. We did Durga where you had the choice. We did the forgiveness with Kuan Yin. And then we did Lakshmi at the end where no, this is who I am.
Mm.
So the more you're going to hold this, Nicole, and your husband does what he does, and your kids do what they do. When you hold the Lakshmi energy and you sit back, there'll be less of this knee jerk to respond. Not right away,
Yeah.
but with time.
Yeah, because it is knee jerk. Yeah, I appreciate that. Because like I'm like, stop doing this. It's okay. It's okay. But it just
It's
yeah.
it's in your neural pathways, but until we give it something new to eat on,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why I
That
had to do,
image. Yeah.
I had to
Yeah.
do Kali first, so you felt the anger.
Yeah.
Then we had to have the compassion and forgiveness. Then we brought in Lakshmi. And when you held her, you just sat, I just felt you sit still.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel the difference?
Yeah.
And just so you know, for myself, Nicole, that's what I've been practicing a lot with my husband. Their son's off at university and son comes home in a week, so we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I'm even finding with my husband, the more I can hold the Lakshmi energy and just that divine mother, the less I'm triggered and the less those old, like knee-jerk patterns from my mother come out. We
Yeah.
have to be willing to embrace and hold this. You did it so beautifully.
I'm laughing right now because I live in a home with my daughter and my mother. Yeah, no, thank you. And also thank you to Barbara. I just feel I need to thank Barbara as well for starting that. And thank you. And I'm also laughing because I'm imagining my current self grappling, and that will be a funny thought as well. I don't know.
Funny that you need to do it in
Thank
your
you,
high
Divi.
school like that. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for demoing that. Let me go back to some of these comments and questions. I'm going to grab Haley or Andrew in a second. I'm going to grab Lindsay first. How do you get to the point of compassion for individuals that are inherently... I'm so laughing at you. I'm sorry for laughing. Barbara wrote my pleasure. I'm laughing at you, Lindsay. I'm laughing so hard. Okay, ready to go? All right, and let me see what Martin happens if you can't feel the anger. Are you stuck in it? Yes, Marnie, if you can't feel the anger, you're stuck in the Virgin Triangle. I love you. That was a simple question. Sorry. Really simple answer. Okay, Lindsay. Okay, I think you have a camera on. Okay. Here's spirit. Here's the ego. Here's spirit of the politician. Here's the ego. Spirit. Oh, okay. When I see this person, okay, take a wild guess. If I'm seeing this politician as a narcissistic SOB, am I in spirit or am I in the ego? Take a guess, Lindsay. Ego. Somebody said the ego. Ego. Okay, yeah. She really has her child. Okay. So anytime you're looking at anybody else as less than, you're in the ego. Here's the deal. As soon as you see the ego in somebody else, guess what you do? You make it louder yourself. That's why the more you go, he's fat, she's thin, that person's a workaholic, guess what you're doing? You're actually doing it to yourself. That's what projection is. Versus extension, Holy Spirit never sees this politician as less than. I just heard the Jeopardy song.
Sorry.
Okay.
I think that makes sense. That's what I think was processing, but I'm like, man, there's there's a lot of anger in here that I need to probably just get out first before I can actually buy into that.
And it's subtle and it's rewiring it, but it's like that's the learning. Right? Mm-hmm. That's learning. When I learn how to extend, so I'm just going to teach what extension is, though I know you know, Lindsay. When here I am in spirit, and here I am in the ego. If I'm walking around the world looking and going, that person's wrong, that person's wrong, that person's wrong, I'm making my ego bigger. I'm keeping it alive. For that projection versus extension, because I'm projecting my wounds onto them. Versus extension is, I love that person, even though they're jacklifting that person. I love that, like, not even I love them, but I can see spirit in them. I can see spirit in them. And it's a retraining of the mind. And that's all it is, Lindsay. And it's going to just take a bit of work. And that's all. That helps. And if we want, we can go deeper on the weekend in case it hasn't shifted. Yeah, I'll give it, I'll blank up. And Andrew, I want to check in. Did that answer your question? Because I left yours last because they said hers might get answered.
Yes, partly, but I'm just kind of wondering still a little bit in my mind about, I understand about if I'm angry at a life situation, that's actually me. And I understand projection, but the part I still don't get, my brain doesn't wrap around, if it's like I'm angry at a person. I don't really get how that's me, because I understand it's me. I'm responsible for dealing with that.
Right.
But then I don't understand, maybe I can still be really mad at somebody for doing something. Like, for example, I brought up my mom. I didn't do those things. So I don't know. Like, I know, I just still sort of feel like that's them. That's not me. That's them. They did that. It wasn't my choice to do that. So yeah, I guess, I don't know. It sounds dumb probably because I still don't get it. But
no, it doesn't sound dumb. And I'll be honest with you, this took me years to understand. So don't beat yourself up. Please don't beat yourself up. Please. Everybody is you. And we'll get to mom in a minute, because it's like, I didn't have a choice. I had this mother, but let's just say I'm using the example as an adult. Okay. And this person out here is, if this person is making me angry, if this person is doing something that's pissing me off, what I have to look at is, how is this a person, a mirror to something in me? And you saw that when I worked with Barbara. So this is her daughter not eating her food. The daughter's not eating her food, but how is that a mirror in me? That's a mirror in me because in me, I believe X, Y, Z. And because I have that belief, the daughter's mirroring that for me to heal that. And so that's why that step is the hardest, because it's looking at, what is this mirroring in me?
right.
That's why it's the hardest, because we have to be really, really dig deep. Nothing is outside of me. It's all in me. The other day I realized that I have very strong distrust issues towards men.
You?
Rocket science. And I sat with I've been waking up I'm gonna say had because it stopped last night, because I'm teaching Mexico next week. I'm teaching Vancouver this weekend. A lot of the energies from those 2 workshops are coming in, and that's what happens in the work I do. So usually the week before, my sleep gets a bit wonky or something happens, just as part of me being aware of what's coming. So I woke up at 3 a.m, start meditating, going, okay, here I am again, what's coming, what do I need to know, blah, blah, blah. What they showed me was my distrust issues. When I was 6 years old, Andrew, I lived in India with my family for a year. And when I was 6, we lived with my grandmother and some extended family. And this grandmother was widowed. And in India, when you're widowed, you only wear white. You, for the rest of your life, you're only allowed to wear white. Okay, it's the rule. You're not allowed to wear any color. She was widowed quite young, actually, my grandmother. And she had a lot of anger. So I was 6 years old. I would watch her throw things around the house. In India, if you have a big set of keys, it means you're rich. She would walk around with this big set of keys on her sari up here. And I would watch her time and time again take these keys and throw them across the room. And usually she was angry at men because she was angry that her husband had died. She was angry at society. She was angry that no one respected her because she was a widow, because that was society back in the 70s. So I realized in this meditation, I was like, oh, this is where my distrust comes to men. That's why that happened. That's why that first boyfriend did that. That's why, because it all comes from when I was 6 years old. And I did this work for 20 friggin' years.
Right.
Right? It's a never ending looking at those layers in your brain. And that's why to answer your question isn't just a knee jerk. No one does anything to us that's not in us. Now let's go to the mother thing. We contract with mothers for what our soul is here for. So I had a mother who loved me, but loved, in my story, loved my siblings more. My story. Why did I contract for that? Why? Why did I contract for that? So that I could learn how to get love from the Divine Mother. So I could learn how to love y'all so much. One of the reasons I love so much is because
I love that.
perceived as a child that my mom didn't love me. I perceived the first 30, 40 years of my life.
Aw.
Okay. So we have these wounds for who we're meant to be as we get older, if we're willing to look at them and work through them.
Okay, thank you, Divi.
Welcome, Andrew. All right, I'm gonna check in. Any other comments? No more questions. Okay, cool. All right. Any other questions, comments as I wrap? That was a quick 80 minutes. Any comments, questions? How are you guys feeling? Cool.
Good. I'm just so shocked about India that they, like, in the 70s, you're not respected because you're a widow. I didn't know that. I'm just like, oh my God.
So go watch the movie The Water. It's called Water. Yeah. Oh, you're so welcome, Haley. Go watch the movie Water. I'll show you. All right. So I'm going to do a quick wrap. Thank you all for coming so much. If this is catching your interest, I have a couple live workshops coming up. I've got this weekend in Vancouver. There's a couple spots left. I've got Mexico next week, which is full, except you can come if you want, but you can't stay on site because on site is full. But more importantly, my guys just told me to teach this, so I'm teaching it, hence I'm here. But I've got this exciting workshop coming up in May called Women Healing Women, and I'll send you some information on that. You can already register for it on my website. And I've got some other live events that I haven't picked dates for yet, but I will. So keep an eye out for that. But as we wrap, let's do a mini meditation. Go and close your eyes. Take about 10 breaths. Bring in your guides, divine support team. This is the time for the women and men to heal the patriarchy. This is the time for us to reclaim our power as the divine consciousnesses that we are. This is the time for us all to heal with love. So as we allow that to settle into the body, we have to give ourselves permission to own all of our fears, all of our pain, and begin the compassion, forgiveness, and anger work in order to heal it. Take about 5 more breaths. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I'm sending you guys so much love. Thank you so much for showing up live. I know that was a bit of a different workshop than what I'm used to teaching, but I hope it helped. I really hope it helped. And I'm sending you guys lots of love.
Thank you so much. That was so good, Divi. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you guys. And Jody, you're good. I just want to say hi to Jody. You're good.
Thank you so much.
You guys are so welcome. Have the best day ever. Oh, you're welcome, Sharon. Have the best day ever. It was so great to see everybody. So you guys lots of, I'll follow up with an email and have a good night. Go home and eat. Have fun. And Maureen, have fun getting comfortable with your anger. All right. Sending you guys lots of love. Good night, guys.
Rawr.
Haha, whoever did that, that was Barbara. Or Angie. Good night, guys.
Night.